Welcome to the Her Voice Shines podcast, where we celebrate the power, brilliance, and resilience of women everywhere. I'm your host, Shanasia Washington. Join us as we share inspiring stories and insights from extraordinary women who have found their voice and are making a difference. Together, we'll create a ripple effect, illuminating the path to visibility and empowerment. Let's break barriers, shatter ceilings, and lift each other up. In each episode, we dive deep into the journeys of women who have turned their challenges into triumphs and their dreams into reality. Whether you're looking for motivation, guidance, or a community that understands your journey, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and remember, let your voice shine. Whoa, let your voice shine. You've been at the Her Voice Shines podcast. I'm your fabulous host, Nelly, Washington, streaming from none other than Houston, Texas. And don't tell me nothing about this week. I've had the most amazing week because I've been back in the recording studio, and every guest just getting a little bit better and better and better. So this lady backstage, she got big shoes to fill. I'm just playing. She's here, and I'm so excited that she is. She's going to come to the stage and do our normal drill, just tell us her name, where she's streaming from, and we get the magic of her story. And without any further waiting time, here's my very beautiful guest for today.
Hello.
Nelly, hey, so glad to see you. We're so happy to have you here on the Her Voice Shines podcast. I want you to tell us where this beautiful lady is streaming from, and we want to hear a little bit about the background of Nelly so we can get into these questions. You don't know it yet, but I've been all in your business, Nelly, and I'm going to ask you about it, but I want to get an introduction from your side as to who this beautiful lady is.
Thank you so much, Shanasia. Hi, everyone. I'm Nellie Akalp, founder and CEO of CorpNet.com, streaming from Los Angeles, California, in a city called Westlake Village. So it's great to be here with all of you, and I'm excited to share my story.
So she has a company called CorpNet. That's what we first know about Nelly. I'm going to tell y'all that one thing. So let's start here, Nelly. What inspired you to launch CorpNet? And wait a minute, let me just go back a little bit. She'd been in the game. She already had a different business. So first tell us what inspired you to launch CorpNet, and tell me about how that is different from your previous business.
Yeah, so what inspired me to start CorpNet was simply boredom. I was really, really bored, and I was too young, too passionate, and frankly, too young to take on an early retirement after I sold our first company. So I started with CorpNet in 2009. And here at CorpNet, what we do is help entrepreneurs and advisors with every aspect of starting a business and keeping a business in compliance in all 50 states. And we provide the most comprehensive, cost-effective services when it comes to starting a business, when it's, whether it's setting up a sole proprietorship or a partnership or wanting to incorporate within any type of any of the 50 states, forming an LLC. And we do it fast, we do it simply, we do it error-free, and we do it at one iota of a price of what a lawyer would charge you. And let me tell you, lawyers can be pretty pricey because I used to, practice law under an attorney, and they can charge upwards of 5 to 10 grand per corporation. So I'm not a licensed attorney. I decided from law school to go straight into entrepreneurship, but I've had my share of experience in working at a law firm.
Did y'all hear what Nelly said? I said, well, how did you launch CorpNet? Oh, I was just bored. That's what she basically said. She said, well, look, I had already sold the business.
I was crawling out of my skin, Shanasia, literally.
Now, listen, Nelly, I need to come and get bored with you so we can build a company. Now, she said, oh, I was just bored, and I got a whole nother company. Y'all heard, I said it. I mean, she said it. I didn't say it. That was her words. But I'm very proud of you to have that pivot and to keep wanting to go and keep wanting support, because you could have just stopped and said, look, I've sold this business and I don't have to do anything else. But you decided to reimagine really that expertise and put it into the world. Yes. Well, what I'm going to ask you is talk us through those earlier days really of CorpNet, and what was really that moment that really catapulted the growth? Because you started, I'm a little bit bored, and then what was that pivot moment? Like, okay, now we got some more,
Well, believe it or not, the pivotal moment that catapulted our growth was COVID. And it's funny and it's sad all at the same time, because a lot of companies went belly up during the COVID era. And, for some, there was some silver linings. And fortunately, we were one of those companies where we were able to become a solution to a lot of businesses that were up and coming on the heels of COVID. A lot of entrepreneurs who had basically gotten fired or gotten furloughed or laid off from their 9-to-5 job and wanted to go start their own business and immediately hire employees. And we quickly pivoted, and there was a need out there for tax filings, specifically payroll tax registrations and setting on payroll tax accounts. And we saw a need out there. We quickly came up with the solution. And so we really, really went from a 15-person company to about, over 150 plus person company. But COVID was the big player in that huge growth for our company.
Nelly, you got a little magic you want to sell? She's just a little magic. She got a little magic. I asked her if she wanted to sell it, but I mean, absolutely amazing. Actually, during that time of COVID, I was actually starting my first business. I was starting to work, so I left corporate in 2021. But I kind of started to envision being an entrepreneur really in 2020, not really knowing what to do my whole life. It really been corporate. And I can really just say, I remember being in that space and actually having quite a few people I was meeting who was getting lots of business growth during COVID. It was kind of contrary of what was being projected, like in the news and stuff. So many were going to go.
It's really sad, and it's unfortunate for a lot of businesses who unfortunately had to deal with the unfortunates of, and the remnants of COVID. However, for a lot of companies, I think, we always look at things that happen and we think that they're happening to us, but it's really happening for us. Sure. And I felt that COVID was one of those, periods in our economic climate that really helped catapult CorpNet's growth.
Oh, I love that. Now, tell me about the biggest lesson from the first business to the second business. I know you had a different venture before, but what was that biggest lesson and kind of aha moment between those two processes of launching firms?
I think for me, the biggest lesson was that what happened, how you run a business the first time around is not a definite guarantee that it's going to work the second time around. Yeah. And that's exactly, the biggest lesson that I learned, because we came out, starting CorpNet with such huge egos. Like, I've done this before, I can do it again. And excuse my language, I had my ass handed over to me so quickly. And I'm sorry, for the potty mouth here, but truly, like, I had my tushy handed over to me really quickly, because what happens once and what works once in a business is not guaranteed to work again. There is so many factors to consider: economic climate, market share, how you're re-entering the industry. So I had to learn quickly. I had to pivot quickly. And when you have the drive, which most entrepreneurs have, there's always a plan B, and you got to be ready to pivot quickly. So we were trying, and we were, quickly failing with things that didn't work. And we would try new stuff. And finally, things started turning around for us. So I'm really happy and I'm very grateful.
Oh, I love that. And I know that it probably, and you were probably too in a different season of your life than what you were in the first one. So even from a personal aspect, right? And the personal climate for you.
I mean, I think time itself is a huge teacher for all of us. When I started my first company, I was, in my 20s and sold in my 30s. And when I started CorpNet, I was nearly 40. And now I'm 53 years old, almost celebrating my 54th birthday. So I think age has a lot to do with it. You become a lot wiser. You become a lot stronger. No becomes a complete answer. literally. I mean, boundaries are huge. I never knew what boundaries were in my first business. With age and wisdom and becoming wiser with age, you learn a lot along the way. And listen, life is messy. Business is messy. We're not perfect people. We try stuff, and sometimes we fail, and a lot of times we succeed. But oftentimes, even myself, there's so many times that I get into my own head and I start thinking, I'm a failure or this or that. And I have to remind myself, like, you know what? We're not perfect people, and I've done really well for who I am and for my age. Juggling 30-year marriage, 4 kids, a business, and I'm so hard on myself. So one of the things I've learned is that my biggest blessings are also my biggest curses in life. And I have to channel those curses inward and take time for myself to literally pat myself in the back, on the shoulder, and be like, good job, stop being so hard on yourself, because I'm very hard on myself. I'm neurotic. I'm a control freak. I'm an A-type. And, those are all the ingredients that are what make you successful, because if I didn't have those ingredients and I wasn't born with those ingredients, I wouldn't be where I am today. But they're also a curse too, so one thing that I will share is that look at your blessings, and also look at how it can benefit you, but those same blessings can also hurt you. So make sure you're channeling them properly and making sure that you're taking time out to just celebrate yourself, because you have to be the owner of your own celebrations, in my opinion. Nobody's going to do it for you.
100%. I told you, Nelly has a little magic. Say she's 50 plus. We can't tell. She didn't even really have to tell us, but she told us anyway. But yeah. Doing amazing. And also, I've looked through your stuff. You are probably hard on yourself, but you have done some amazing things.
Thank you.
You've done an absolutely amazing journey. I mean, you've pivoted. You've been strong. You've not only done things in the business, you are holding down a marriage. You're raising kids, girl. You got the stuff that champions are made of.
Thank you so much.
And it's a very interesting thing, because I think in the recent years, one of the things we just talked about the blessings kind of being, feeling cursed, but then also too blessed. I kind of had to sit in that, right? Because if you're saying that you're going to be a leader, sometimes I walk into rooms, I'm like, I don't want to be the leader. Like, I'm just trying to get in here, put my head down. And it's like a magnet. People start asking questions. I'm like, I'm not here for that. Like, and I was telling a couple guests ago kind of about that. And I think I finally have gotten into a place in my journey where I can really see it like that. Because it's like, if you did not have it, you would have not been able to do X, Y, and Z. But because you do have it, do understand that this is the season for boundaries. This is the season to do the right things, to hone in on the positive side and blessing side of the gift. Yeah. So those are the things that I'm definitely working on. I want to shift here, Nelly. I want you to tell me something like a misconception or misunderstanding that most people have about business formation and compliance. We have a lot of small business owners that watch the show, and I want to hear about some of those misconceptions from all of your years of expertise.
Well, thank you. And I love, talking about the misconceptions. First and foremost, I just want to let you guys know, no matter how small you are as a business owner, entrepreneur, the biggest misconception is failing to protect your personal assets and separating yourself from the business. What does that mean? It means set up a corporation or LLC, because it is so simple. We make business filings simplified. So in light of how easy it is, in light of how you price, cost effective it is, I would say if you're an entrepreneur that has started a business, and if you have assets, whether it be a car, a house, a savings account, set up a corporation or LLC. That's one big misconception that people often think like, hey, I'm too small and I'm too small to be a corp or an LLC. Another one is if you are ready to form a corporation or an LLC, make sure you're doing it within your home state. What do we mean by home state? We're talking about setting up that corporation or LLC in the state that you're actually planning to conduct business. There's a big hype about Delaware, Nevada, Wyoming, and them, being tax-friendly states and, save you, as a result, saving you a bunch of taxes. And again, that's a huge misconception, because guess what? If you're not actually in those states and conducting your business within those states, guess what? Your home state is going to come after you if you decide to form an LLC or set up a corporation in one of those hyped states, such as Delaware, Nevada, Wyoming. I would say the third misconception is starting a business and using a name and checking that, using a name for that business without doing your due diligence to make sure that name is not taken. We see a lot of problems with this where, of course, when people come up with a business idea, the first exciting part about, starting that business is choosing that business name. So a lot of times people won't take the necessary steps to check to make sure that business name is available. And guess what? They are ending up on the wrong end of a trademark lawsuit. So make sure you get that business name checked out and cleared before you start using that business name on letterheads, on business cards, on a website. And guess what? You have CorpNet that can handle all of this for you in any of the 50 states. Last but not least is compliance. Compliance is essential to any business that's a corporation or LLC. So if you as an entrepreneur have already set up a corporation or an LLC, your job is not done. That corporation or LLC, in order to maintain its corporate veil, has to make sure they are in compliance with state filings on a yearly basis. That's, again, something that we can assist you in all 50 states. Come set up yourself within our free compliance portal, and we'll ensure your corporation or LLC remains compliant in your state throughout the life cycle of that corporation or LLC.
That's really good, Nelly, because there was this big craze about the whole Delaware, Wyoming thing, and I still see it be a very common thing. So thank you for bringing that in and sharing their life, because there's still very many people that believe that those states will somehow give them some tax benefit, not knowing the ramifications of that should something be uncovered later down the line. So thank you for sharing that. I want to move now, Nelly, because I think this is huge. Now, from what I hear, is that you have a child now working in CorpNet.
Yes, I do.
Is that?
So it's really funny because I with my first company, I had just given birth, and she's one of my twins. I'm a mother of 4, and one of my children is now our junior financial controller at CorpNet. She's been working with us in different capacities for the past 6 years. And finally, after graduating from Loyola Marymount and obtaining her degree in finance, she took the controller position here at CorpNet. I'm very proud of her. I don't like the fact that she tells me not to spend, and I have to, get everything approved by her, because as a controller, she's in charge of all the money that's going in and everything that's going out. So believe it or not, she kind of has to sign off on whether, I can sign an insertion order or, an advertising contract or whatever it is. And overall, I would say if you have clear boundaries and if it's very transparent, I implore you to work with your kids. It's a beautiful experience. And, the best part for me is that I get to see her shine, and I get to see where she started and where she is. And believe it or not, you get to learn from them, because they bring such a new, fresh, vibe into the company. So, she's my greatest asset, my greatest learning figure. I look up to her, and I love her. I'm very proud of her, and I'm proud of my other three kids too. They decided they didn't want to work for the company. She has a twin. He's an entrepreneur, and he sometimes comes and dabbles and helps us out whenever we need with marketing, but overall he runs his own business. He's her twin. And then I have a 21-year-old who's just changed his major, and he's going to be transferring hopefully to UCLA. And then I have a 14-year-old. So I'm very blessed. I love a big family, and it's fun. It's fun seeing, having your children watch you. And you know what? I'm doing something great. I'm leading by example, and hopefully they'll learn a few things or two from me.
I love that. And then also to see that growth, and then to see where she is now, and, kind of putting her gifts back into the world and kind of back into legacy is something that, I bid you great congratulations. I mean, there had to have been something said or done that attracted her to do that. So I'm very proud of you guys, and I pray that your legacy continues. Now, the other side of that, Nelly, is that, you speak highly of your husband being both your partner and also to, in life and business, basically, there's that dynamic. Tell me how you two have navigated that dynamic. It's not always an easy place, for.
How did I know you're going to ask this? So, you know what? Phil is my husband and business partner. We've been together for over 30 years. And I'll tell you, he's my greatest critic and my biggest supporter. I love him. Working with your husband, again, it's not something everyone is for everyone. I don't recommend it for everyone. For us, it just happens to work. We went to college together. We met in college. We've always kind of built our friendship. Our relationship was first started out as being study partners. So, we work well together. We complement each other. And, we've learned a few things of not to do and what to do more of, but you definitely have to make sure that the lines are clear, communications are clear, boundaries are very clear. And one thing, as a husband and wife business owner, what I urge any of you who may want to be working with your partner is make sure you're working in a linear position, like you're not working on top of each other. Because in our first business that happened, and it caused a little bit of riffraff, but we quickly pivoted from that. And with CorpNet, we each handle a side of the business that's completely separate and apart. So he's more back-end tech, legal, finances. I'm more front facing, the face of the company, marketing, branding, and sales. So it really works for us. And to keep the marriage spicy, you just have to, make sure you do those date nights every week. It's essential to a thriving marriage where you have a husband and wife working together.
That is absolutely beautiful. I'm so happy to hear that. I have to answer this question. I'm going to find a way in time to get that question about how it is working with the husband. But it also, too, just makes me think about beyond that and what you build, really, I believe, is a people-first culture. Tell me about maybe what have you learned and taken away from building that first company. And now it's over 100 people now, this current company, which I think is great. Tell me about building and maintaining a people-first culture. And things are changing. It's hard. I mean, there's so many external stimuli, and to keep people involved and engaged in a workplace can be very tricky in these days and times. So tell me about your perspective of a people-first culture and building and maintaining it.
Happy employees means happy clients and a great big company. I mean, that's how I see it. When your employees are taken care of, and when you put your employees first, and you have a people first culture where they're listened to, they're, heard, you have a collaborative environment, your employees' productivity is going to shoot up, and they're going to want to do better for your company. And that means your clients are going to be happier. So I've always been one of those people where no matter how big we've gotten, and believe me, it's a struggle right now for me because we have gotten a little bit bigger, and I still, kind of have that mentality where I want my employees to feel like, you know what, we're a family, and unfortunately, sometimes as your company gets bigger, you have to come up with other creative ways to make your employees feel valued and heard and made feel special. And I think as a company, we do a really good job of that. And because of that, our customer reviews are really high because when you take pride in your employees take pride in the work they do, and they take care of your clients. And that's what you want as a company, because for me, a great big company is a sum of all of its parts. It's not about me. It's not about my husband. It's about all of my employees.
I love that, because I mean, it's different from like a 5-person team where everybody kind of feels like family, and then it gets a little bit wider at 10, at 15, at 20, at 25, and it's still keeping that dynamic. And I'm just so happy that you are leading. It's kind of interesting. This week I've had a lot of HR consultants come through and a lot of workplace culture people, and still today, they're trying to get leaders back to that when there's just so much segregation in so many different areas.
I don't like that.
It is still.
I'm to this day in it with my team. I have that huge Simon Sinek mentality of leaders eat last. I'm a huge believer and a huge Simon Sinek fan, and I love the way he talks about how to create organizations and how to treat your employees. And your employees are an extension of you. They're a mirror of you. The way you treat your employees is how your organization is going to treat the clients. So you have to take the time to make sure your employees feel listened to, heard, acknowledged, valued, and they need to feel like they're part of a bigger thing, and I think, with CorpNet, we've done a great job of doing that. I don't think we're perfect in any way, but I think we've done a great job of it.
Yeah, so I think another good question that will be right after this, because we're in the age of automation, we're in the age of AI, we're in the age of a lot of different things. Tell me really how you're balancing the automation piece with keeping a human touch feel. I think there are many companies that are struggling with this dynamic because there are many things that we can just automate, but there needs to be a layer of human touch and human feel somewhere. What are you guys doing to really balance that?
With the whole, introduction of AI and AI coming in, absolutely AI is going to be a huge part of our business. But one of the things about CorpNet is that we're very concierge based, and it's never going to lose its human touch. So we will always have that human, answering the phones, greeting the client, when that client calls in, because, in this day and age, people want to know that they're real people behind a company. And for me, there's a lot of ways that, our company will be utilizing AI and has already begun utilizing AI, but that doesn't mean compromising the client experience or taking away the human touch.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for saying that, because also companies that are like yours that are people centered, you have to believe at their core that they are taking care of their people, which also to me that sometimes the automation doesn't take away their job or their place, but it enhances their experience by doing and taking away some mundane tasks. So thanks for that. Let me ask you this question quickly. What advice would you give to an entrepreneur who feels overwhelmed in an overly competitive market? We get that question often, or I feel that it's always so competitive and I just feel overwhelmed because there's so much competition. What advice would you give to an entrepreneur that feels that way?
There is always plenty of business to go around, because this is a great question. And I really, really connect with this question, because as an entrepreneur who, had started a company and then taken 3 years off and came back in the same industry, but when I came back, it was completely saturated. I can totally empathize and have compassion for those who would feel, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. And I would say, get out of your head, stop overthinking, and start looking, the first thing to look at is how can I carve out, a niche for myself, because that's what we did, and that was the beauty of how CorpNet pivoted was, everybody's going after the end user and how to get to that end user. And initially, we were trying to get to the end user directly, but what we carved out as a niche for ourselves is how can we get to that end user, quickly, affordably, and without having to pay a lot of money, a lot of acquisition money for each customer. And the way we did that was by creating the CorpNet Partner Program, which is our program where advisors can come in and improve their CAS advisory services. So, for any entrepreneur struggling out there, first of all, get out of your head. When you're feeling overwhelmed, stop right there, get out of, your workplace, go for a walk, because believe it or not, walking, just going outside will break that thought process of feeling overwhelmed. Because remember, when you start feeling overwhelmed, then fear comes, and then there's depression. So you want to stop that by doing physical things, and when you do physical things, it's like a reset for your mind, where you come back and you're just, the adrenaline is going and you start getting great ideas. But all in all, my whole tidbit here is there's plenty of business to go around for everyone. You got to get creative and you got to carve out a niche for yourself. For example, take a look at your clients. See who are your clients. That's what we did. We took a survey of all of our clients and realized that the majority of our clients are advisors. So you have to do a little bit of diligence on your clientele to see who they are and try to go and get more of those clients. Or when you're on the phone with a new client, simply ask, what's the worst thing that can happen? They can say no to you. Ask them, hey, who else do you think would benefit from using our services? Making money is really easy in this world. You got to just get creative of how you go after it. But the whole notion of, oh my God, there's so much competition out there, I'm not going to be able to survive. Yeah, you will. You just got to do it bigger. You got to do it better. You got to stay the course. You got to dress up, suit up, show up every day. None of this work-life balance stuff, every day you got to work. You got to stay consistent. You got to show up. You got to say yes to every opportunity that comes your way. That's the way I became successful. I never said no. Whoever asked me to get on a podcast, I said yes. Whenever my clients asked me about a service, if I didn't provide that service, but I would find a way to do it. So there is always a way to create business because you have the internet. I mean, you have this big pool that you can go after. You just got to get creative with it.
That's good. Definitely channel that creative piece, because that is a common thing. Many people like, everybody has this type of business and I can't, number one, thrive or survive, basically. So thank you for shedding light there, Nelly. That was a great segment. Now I want to do this with you. Let's imagine that we're at Nelly's 80th birthday. I don't know who's there. I don't know what you guys are dressed in. I don't know where y'all are eating. I have no idea. But
I didn't hear the first part. Tell me again.
The first part is this. We are now imagining that we're at Nelly's 80th birthday.
Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations. You've made it. And I don't know what you guys are doing. I don't know who's there. I don't know the food. I don't know the location. But all I want to know is this. I hope that all of your favorite people are there. And I hope that it is a grand celebration. But I want you to tell me what you're hoping that room is saying about Nelly's life and legacy at that time.
That, you know what? I made an impression on them, and that I didn't know what they were going through, but because of something I said or how I made them feel, they were able to go and make a change in their lives. Because remember, people, you have to be kind. You have to be kind because you don't know what people are going through. And this is one of the principles that I live by, is that it's only you, your body, your name, and that's all you have. So isn't it wonderful to make an impression when you leave a room on people? And I think kindness goes a long way.
Absolutely. And I tell people all the time, first impressions matter. Just like today, I will never get another opportunity to have another first impression with Nelly. This is all I got. So whatever it is that she's taking from this is all Sinead has for a first impression. So I think that you are well en route for that. It'll be a good thing to look back, a few 6 months later and look at this question, because those are the things that keeps us in line with the day-to-day tasks to get to the overall goal of where we're looking to be for life and legacy. So I play with that question very often, Nelly, because I have to ask myself, are you putting into the earth every single day? Like you say, showing up and being consistent and doing this thing. Are you doing it to get to that point? So what legacy means to you?
Well, I mean, every day, Shanandra, I get up and I'll say, how am I going to contribute to this world? And when I go to bed, I thank the Lord and I ask myself, how did I contribute to this world to make it a better place? Every day, when I go to bed, I ask myself, how did I do and how did I get better from the day before? So, I think, there's a lot of pressure out there, with social media and everything that's going on. But I think for us as human beings, especially entrepreneurs, I think we have to just keep it simple for ourselves, and I think it's really important to do what you love. I think when you are being of service out there to people and doing something that you love, that is of service to the world and the people around you, the money will come. Don't do it to become an overnight millionaire. Go for what you love to do. Go for what makes you happy. Go for what is going to help people and solve problems out there, because that's how we started our company. That's how we started our second company. That's how we pivoted and added new services with CorpNet. It's always been about bringing a solution to a problem.
Absolutely. I love that. And thank you so much for that, Nelly. Now, I have 10 pre-prepared questions for you that I call my rapid fire round.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, listen now, Nelly, you don't get a whole lot, okay? A word, a couple sentences, that's all we got. We're going to go through these very quickly, starting with number 1, which is coffee or tea to get you through a hectic day.
Coffee.
Coffee girl, okay. Give me your go-to recharge method after a long day.
Exercise and dance.
Tell me a book or podcast that has inspired you.
The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins.
Oh, you know what? I have actually just gotten on to Mel Robbins. I felt like, dang, how y'all been hiding this lady from me? Like, how did I just not? I literally just got on to the Mel Robbins phenomenon probably within the last 6 months.
Yeah, so it's really the Let Them Theory, which is the book, and then it's her podcast, which is the Mel Robbins podcast.
Oh, I love it. Thank you for that. You already told us this one, but it was pre-prepared in my questions. And I said a secret to keeping a strong marriage and business partnership. I know one of them was those date nights, but if there is something else you want to add, please let us know.
Keep it spicy.
Tell me your favorite moment from a live event, whether that was speaking or just pouring into a team. Give me one of those favorite standout moments from a live event.
When one of the audience came up to me and said it was because of you that I had the courage to start my own business.
Those are the ones that we love to hear.
Yeah.
Give me your most memorable compliment that a client has given you.
That when I come into a room, my smile literally lights up the room.
It does. You have a very, very gracious spirit about you, and I'm so happy to be sharing it. Tell me something that makes your team one of a kind.
What is one thing that makes my team one of a kind? Their love for CorpNet, their passion for CorpNet.
Now, we know Nelly could have retired, but I'm going to give her this question. if you were not doing this, if for some reason you were not doing CorpNet, what would you be doing, Nelly?
I would probably be starting another business, and I would probably do something in the mental health sector, helping women.
Well, listen, Nelly, start a podcast. Let me run it, and we'll get the best guests. Number 10, one word that describes you as in your entrepreneurial spirit.
Compassionate.
I can believe that. And let me just do this one just for the last go. I lead because, finish the sentence.
Because I love to lead and I love to see people succeed.
Amazing rapid fire round, Nelly. Thank you for that. Those are designed just to keep you present and in the moment. Now, this is the part of our show we cue over to our guests for final thoughts. We ask you to give us some excellent parting words for this space and really something that captures the essence of Nelly. I'm going to go over to you for final thoughts, and I'll be back to close the show. So over to you for final thoughts.
Thank you so much. It has been such a pleasure to be here with all of you. Again, do what you love what you do, dream big, and just do it. If you're thinking about starting a business, don't think anymore. Just go out there, start it. Because what's the worst that can happen? You tried it and it failed, and then now you know you can go start something else. For those of you who are interested in learning more about me or CorpNet, visit www.corpnet.com or pick up the phone, dial 1-888-449-2638. You can visit me on social at Nellie Akalp. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, anywhere, Nellie Akalp. It's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for that. And let me tell you, I don't take it lightly that you came here to hang out with me today. All my guests know that I use this place as a place of passion. It does not feel like a podcast. It feels like a natural conversation. And I really want to thank you for that. And I hope that this place has extended an opportunity to let your voice shine. So to everyone that's out there that's watching this podcast, I'll tell you, miraculous things happen when you let your voice shine. And like the folks say in church, I love you, ain't nothing you can do about it. And I'll be back really in no time with another amazing woman on the Her Voice Shine podcast. Until then, we love you and we're out.
Thank you so much. And keep shining.